Vajashravas, desiring rewards, performed a Vishwajit sacrifice in which he gave away all his property. His son was named Nachiketa. When all the gifts were being distributed, faith entered into the heart of Nachiketa, who was still a boy. He said to himself, "Joyless surely are those worlds to which he goes, who gives away cows that no longer drink, eat, or give milk, or any offspring. Father, to whom will you give me? Can you tell me, please? Please tell me, Father. Unto death I will give you. Among the many I am the first, or among many I am the middlemost, but suddenly I am never the last. What purpose of the king of death will my father serve today by thus giving me away to him? O Brahman, salutations to you. You are a venerable guest and have dwelt in my house 3 nights without eating. Therefore choose 3 boons, 1 for each night, O Brahman. May all be well with me. O God of death, may Gautama, my father, be calm and cheerful and free from anger towards me. May he recognize me and meet me when I shall be sent home by you. This I choose as the first of the 3 boons. Through my favor, your father, Audilaki Aruni, will recognize you, and he will be the same as he was before. After having seen you freed from the jaws of death, he will sleep peacefully at night and bear no anger against you. In the heavenly world, there is no fear whatsoever. You, O death, are not there, and no one is afraid of old age. Leaving behind both hunger and thirst, and out of reach sorrow, all rejoice in heaven. You know, O King of Death, the fire sacrifice which leads to heaven. Explain it to me, for I am full of faith. The inhabitants of heaven attain immortality. This I ask as my second boon. I know well the fire sacrifice which leads to heaven, and I will explain it to you. Listen to me. Know this fire to be means of attaining heaven. It is the support of the universe. It is hidden in the hearts of the wise. Yama then told him about the fire, which is the source of the worlds, and what bricks were to be gathered for the altar, and how many, and how the sacrificial fire was to be lighted. Nachiketa too repeated all this as it had been told to him. Then Yama, being pleased with him, spoke again. I will now give you another boon. The fire shall be named after you. Take also from me this multicolored chain. He who has performed 3 times this Nachiketa sacrifice, having been instructed by the 3 and also has performed his 3 duties, overcomes birth and death. Having known this fire, firstborn of Brahman, omniscient, luminous and adorable, and realized it, he attains supreme peace. He, having known the 3, has performed 3 times the Nachiketa sacrifice, throws off even here the chains of death, and overcomes grief and rejoices in heaven. This, O Nachiketa, is your fire sacrifice, which leads to heaven and which you have chosen as your second boon. People will call this fire by your name. Now, O Nachiketa, choose your third boon. There is a doubt about a man when he is dead. Some say he exists, but some say he does not. This I would like to know, which is taught by you. This is the third of my boons. On this subject, even gods had their doubts. It is not easy to understand the nature of the Atman, because the nature of the Atman is subtle. Choose another boon, O Nachiketa. Do not press me. Release me from this boon. Even the gods have doubts about this subject, and you have declared it not to be easy to understand. But another teacher like you cannot be found, and surely there is no other boon comparable to this. Choose sons and grandsons who shall live hundreds of years. Choose elephants, horses, cattle, and gold. Choose a vast domain on earth. Live for as many years as you please. If you deem any other boon equal to that, choose it. Choose wealth and a long life. Be a king, O Nachiketa, of the wide earth. I will make you the enjoyer of all desires. Whatever desires are difficult to satisfy in this world of mortals, choose them as you wish. These fair maidens, and with their chariots and musical instruments, men cannot obtain them. I give them to you, and they shall wait upon you. But do not ask me about death. O God of death, these will remain only until tomorrow. Furthermore, they exhaust the vigor of the sense organs. Even the longest life is very short indeed. Keep your horses, your dances and songs to yourself. Wealth can never make a man happy. Moreover, since I have beheld you, I shall certainly obtain wealth. I shall also live as long as you rule. Therefore, no boon will be accepted by me but the one that I have asked for. Who among the decaying mortals here below, having approached the undecaying mortals and coming to know that his higher needs may be fulfilled by them, tell me, O death, of the great hereafter about which a man has his doubts. The good is one thing, the pleasant is another. Both these serving different needs bind a man. It goes well with him who of the two chooses the good, but he who chooses the pleasant misses out in the end. Both the good and the pleasant present themselves to a man. The calm soul examines them well and then discriminates. Yes, he prefers the good to the pleasant, but a fool chooses the pleasant out of greed and avarice. O Nachiketa, after pondering well the pleasures that are or seem to be delightful, you have renounced them all. You have not taken a road abounding in wealth. This is where many men sink. Wide apart and leading to different ends are these two, ignorance and what is known as knowledge. I regard you, O Nachiketa, to be the one who desires knowledge, for even many pleasures could not tempt you away. Fools dwelling in darkness but thinking themselves wise and erudite go round and round by various tortuous paths, like a blind that is led by a blind. The hereafter never reveals itself to a person devoid of discrimination. Heedless and perplexed by the delusion of wealth, the world alone exists, he thinks, and there is nothing else apart from it. Again and again, therefore, he comes under my sway. Many there are who do not even hear of the Atman. Though hearing of him, many do not comprehend. Wonderful is the expounder and rare the hearer. Rare indeed is the experiencer of Atman taught by the able preceptor. Atman when taught by an inferior person, it's not easy to comprehend because it is diversely regarded by disputants. But when it is taught by him who has become one with the Atman, there can remain no more doubt about it. Atman is subtle than the subtlest and not to be known through argument. The knowledge cannot be attained by reasoning. The Atman becomes easy of comprehension, O dearest, when taught by another. You have to attain this knowledge now. You are indeed a man of true resolve. May we always have an inquirer like you. I know that the treasure resulting from the action is not eternal, for what is eternal cannot be obtained by the non-eternal. Yet I have performed the Nachiketa sacrifice with the help of the non-eternal things and attained the position which is only relatively eternal. The fulfillment of desire, the foundation of universe, the rewards of sacrifices, the shore where there is no fear, that which adorable and great, the wide abode and the goal, and this you have seen. And being wise, you have with firm resolve discarded everything. The wise man, by the means of concentration on the self, realizes that ancient effulgent one who is hard to be seen, unmanifest, hidden, and who dwells in the buddhi and rests in the body. He indeed leaves joy and sorrow far behind. The mortal who has heard this and comprehended it well, who has separated that Atman, that very soul of Dharma, from the physical objects and has realized its subtle essence, rejoices because he has obtained that which is the cause of rejoicing, the abode of the Brahman. I believe it is open now for Nachiketa. That which you see as others than righteousness and unrighteousness, other than all this cause and effect, other than what has been and what is to be, please tell me about that. Goal which all of the Vedas declare, which all austerities aim at, and which men desire when they lead the life of continence. I will tell you briefly. That is Om. The syllable Om is indeed Brahman. This syllable is the highest. Whosoever knows the syllable obtains all that he desires. This is the highest support. Whoever knows the support is adored in the world of Brahma. The knowing self is not born. It does not die. It does not spring from anything, and nothing is spring from it. Birthless, eternal, everlasting and ancient. It is not killed when the body is killed. If the killer thinks that he kills, and if the killed man thinks that he is killed, neither of these apprehensions are right. The self does not kill and neither is it killed. Atman, smaller than the smallest and greater than the greatest, is hidden in the hearts of the living beings. A man who is free from desires beholds the majesty of the self through the tranquility of the senses and mind and becomes free from grief. Though sitting still, it travels far. Though lying down, it goes everywhere. Who but myself could know the luminous Atman who rejoices and rejoices not? The wise man, having realized the Atman as dwelling within impermanent bodies, but itself bodiless, vast and all-pervading, does not grieve. The Atman cannot be attained by the study of Vedas, or by intelligence, or by much hearing of sacred books. It is attained by him alone whom it chooses. To such a one, Atman reveals its own form. He who is not first turned away from wickedness, who is not tranquil and subdued, and whose mind is not at peace, cannot attain Atman. It is realized only through knowledge of reality. Who then knows where he is? He to whom Brahmins and Kshatriyas are mere food and death itself a condiment. Two there are who dwell within the body, in the intellect, the supreme sky of the heart, enjoying the sure rewards of their actions. The knowers of Brahman describe them as light and shade, as do those householders who have offered oblations of 5 fires and all those who have thrice performed the Nachiketa sacrifice. We know how to perform the Nachiketa sacrifice, which is the bridge for sacrifices, and we know also that supreme imperishable Brahman, which is sought by those who wish to cross over to the shore where there is no fear. Know that the Atman to be the master of the chariot, the body the chariot, the intellect the charioteer, the mind the reins. The senses, they say, are the horses, the objects, the roads. The wise call the Atman united with the body. The senses and the body are the enjoyer. If the buddhi, being related to the mind, that is always distracted, loses its discriminations, then the senses become uncontrolled, like vicious horses of a charioteer. If the buddhi, being related to the mind, that is always restrained, possesses discrimination, then the senses come under control, like the good horses of a chariot. If the buddhi, being related to a distracted mind, loses its discrimination and therefore always remains impure, then the embodied soul never attains the goal but enters into the rounds of births. But if the buddhi, being related to a mind that is restrained, possesses discrimination and always remains pure, then the embodied soul attains the goal from which he is not born again. The man who has discrimination of his charioteer and holds the rein of his mind firmly reaches the end of the road, and that is the supreme position of Vishnu. Beyond the senses are the objects. Beyond the objects is the mind. Beyond the mind is the intellect, and beyond the intellect is the great Atman, and beyond the great Atman, the unmanifest, and beyond the unmanifest is the supreme being. Beyond the supreme being there is nothing. This is the end, the supreme goal. The self hidden in beings does not shine forth. It is seen by subtle seers through their one-pointed and subtle intellects. The wise man should merge his speech in his mind and his mind in his intellect. He should merge his intellect in the cosmic mind and the cosmic mind in the tranquil self. Arise, awake, approach the great and learn. Like a sharp edge of a razor is the path. So the wise say, hard to tread and difficult to cross. Having realized Atman, which is soundless, intangible, formless, undecaying, likewise tasteless, eternal, odorless, having realized that which is without beginning or end, beyond the great and unchanging, one is freed from the jaws of death. The wise man who has heard and related the eternal story of Nachiketa told by death is adored in the world of Brahman, and he who practices self-control recites the supreme secret in the assembly of Brahmins on or at an after-death ceremony obtains thereby infinite rewards. Yes, he obtains infinite rewards. Having received the wisdom taught by the king of death and the entire process of yoga, Nachiketa became free from impurities and death and attained Brahman. It will be also with any other who knows in this manner the innermost self.